Well, Scott Schweitzer,
Ryan Wilkins.
welcome to the Collective Good podcast.
Thank you, sir.
Glad to have you here.
Always a pleasure to be with you.
How did we meet?
Oh, gosh. We met because you came to church as the new worship leader.
Yes,
Yeah.
North Church.
North Church.
My wife contests that every single person that we meet somehow was associated with North Church. It feels like there were an unbelievable amount of people that were a part of that church.
Yeah.
And I guess in our specific area, it's sad that kind of went the way that it did, but now it's part of another church. So that's all good. So, and you started playing drums with me.
I did.
Back in the day when there was that old house that we practiced in.
Yeah, I remember that.
With a really kind of weird, creepy basement that we went into.
But the acoustics weren't bad.
Are you sure about that?
There was enough styrofoam up on the walls.
Oh, that's right. There were acoustic panels and everything in the basement. Wow, that was wild. So we got to know each other pretty well. I remember a few times where we just kind of hung out for a while in the driveway of that house.
Sure.
Just talking about life and getting to know each other. And then we realized that we had one common love, and that was beer.
Beer.
Which ironically, we're not drinking tonight. We're drinking water.
Yeah, not right now.
I feel like I don't drink hardly any beer anymore.
That's one of us.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah, it is a Friday. I was going to say it's a Thursday, but it's a Friday. So
No, it's Friday.
It's Friday all day long.
Water with lemon. That's my water.
That's
drink.
your go-to? All right, a little bit of salt, no salt?
You know why? Salt.
Salt, a little sodium.
No, I've
Okay.
never. So you're supposed to add salt to your water
Just
with
a
lemon?
pinch of salt, just to help with hydration, sodium.
Huh.
Like first thing in the morning. Not that I'm giving medical advice, but that's one of the protocols I do. A little bit of lemon, a little bit of salt.
Okay, so we'll get back to the beer thing. I want to talk more about your morning ritual because I am fascinated by your morning ritual. I've never seen it.
That is probably a good thing.
But you've told me about it, and it involves a lot of what I would call heavy breathing, which sounds really odd, but I don't know what else to call it. What do you do?
Tumio breathing, hyperventilation. There's an actual medical term for it. Also, like Wim Hof breathing. Successive, 25, 30 rapid inhales, followed by releasing exhales, just to get oxygen flowing in the body, followed by breath holds. So if you go to YouTube, type in Wim Hof breathing, there's the Wim Hof protocol that you go through. And that's typically what I do, given how much time I have in the morning. Sometimes I do shorter versions of it.
Wim Hof, that's someone's name?
WIMHOF. I think it's just one F.
Single F. I'm surprised by the single F.
I'd have to check, but.
So where did you find that?
Listening to a podcast years ago.
Interesting.
He was a guest.
The Wim Hof guy.
The Wim Hof guy, yeah.
And so you just were like, okay, I guess I'm going to try it.
And it's been, 4 years now, 5 years.
Wow.
It's been a while, yeah.
And this is like the first thing you do in the morning?
Get up, go outside, get daylight into my eyes, look towards the sun, sit down. I have a little kind of yoga mat that sits by my bed that I just walk outside with, sit on the ground, look at the sun, and do my breathing. And then prayer, and then depending on time, either some exercise outside or run inside for a cold shower and get going.
Cold shower?
And non-cold. So I don't just jump in and do a full cold shower every day. So, but the last couple minutes will be cold water.
Interesting. So how has that impacted your life? I mean, obviously it's made some difference because you keep doing it.
Yeah, I feel better. I feel more alert, ready to get the day going. I wait, at least 90 minutes from the time that I wake up before I have any caffeine. So
90 minutes. Is that like scientific? Is there a reason for that?
Yes. Again, I'm not a.
You're not
I'm
the expert.
Not a doctor.
I'm asking you questions.
Not
you
a
can't
doctor.
answer.
This is not my wheelhouse. But this just happens to be what I do.
I'm a curious person, and that's why doing this podcast is a lot of fun for me.
Yeah.
So I just literally am going to ask whatever question comes to mind.
Go for
and
it.
if you don't know how to answer it, then don't answer it. It's fine. Well, someone else can find the answer to that and post it in the comments.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to beer.
Beer.
I feel like so we have this thing called I don't even know what we call it.
Beer tasting?
We never named it.
For a while, a couple times we called it book club.
Book club. Yeah. I don't remember that.
Yeah. There's been a couple of instances of book club, but no, it's just beer tasting.
Yeah, beer night. I always put it in my calendar as beer night, whatever that is. And the deal is that you have to bring a beer, multiple beers, that no one in the group has ever had.
Yes.
So how in the world do we do that logistically?
Logistically through the Untapped app, see what everybody else, pull out a beer, make sure, see what the beer is, see who's had it and who hasn't had it.
So for the people listening that don't know what Untapped is, what is Untapped?
Untapped is an app on the phone where you can rank beer. You can find out what other people around the country think about it. Kind of a joke for, and I guess we'll get to ORBC.
Yeah.
But as people that actually make beer, it's always frustrating that you'll read through those comments. You can rank the beers up to 5 stars. And, you can have the absolute best Pilsner and somebody be like, yeah, best Pilsner I've ever had, 2 stars.
2 stars. Which to someone on Untapped, that's like trash, like terrible. Don't drink this. It's going to make you ill.
Yeah, but all the time. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I do feel like we have sort of given way too much power to people to make decisions for you about whether or not a beer is worth tasting through Untapped.
Sure, you can argue that, but I guess, do we allow the internet to do that in our lives overall?
Yes, but I feel like I give way too much credit to ratings on Untapped.
Yeah,
I really do.
It impacts. Because especially with beers that you've never had before, you might not be familiar with the style to look at it and say, oh, hey, everybody else said this is a great beer. I remember the first time I ever tried a sour. Do you remember the first time you ever tried a sour?
Oh, I thought I was going to throw up.
Yeah, so
terrible.
I had talked to a brewer and I said, hey, I'm getting ready to go to New York City to a beer store. I remember you saying that there's a great beer shop out there and that it had your favorite beer. You were talking about this a couple weeks ago. And he said, yeah, here's the address. This is the name of the beer. It's the best beer I've ever had. So I'm stoked. I'm excited. So Bethany and I go over there. We get the beer. Go and it's a bottle shop. So, we take it, go back to the hotel, open it up. And I say to her, I'm like, there's something wrong with this.
It's gone sour.
This isn't good. What?
It tastes like bile.
He said it was the best beer he ever had.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, Zach knows beer. This can't be true. And Bethany's like, oh, I don't think it's bad. She goes, I think it's pretty good. And I read
so she liked it.
Yeah, I read the description, and I'm like, oh, well, honey, the rest of it's for you. I'm not drinking this. This is gross.
Yeah.
So yeah,
sour beer is definitely an acquired taste. That's for sure. Because I like it now, but at first I hated it. I thought it was terrible. So we got this beer club.
Yeah.
The first time that we met was in the stag room of the Lakes.
It was,
wasn't it?
It was. Yeah.
Yeah. Jeff Ortlip had us over, and
Luke.
And oh yeah, Luke. Who else was there? I feel like there was one other person.
I think there were 2 other people.
Because it's a big table, and we were sitting around it, and that was a lot of fun. That's a core memory for me. But then it transitioned to a couple other guys from North Church.
Yeah,
of course. Jed and Matthew.
Yeah,
and the 4 of us have been consistently drinking beer together for how long now?
I don't even know. I'd have to go. Interestingly, I'd have to go into Untapped and scroll back.
My guess,
I'm going to say 2018.
No, it's before that. Way before that.
Okay.
Way before that. Because I would say 2016.
Oh yeah, because ORBC is 2017.
It's got to be even before that.
So it has to be like 2015.
It would, or even maybe 14.
Yeah.
It's almost been 10 years that we've been slugging
and look
beers.
at us.
You look better than me. We've been slugging beers for 10 years. And how in the world have we found consistently beers that no one has had? That's pretty remarkable. Especially considering the fact that Jed on Untapped has like 5,000 beers or something crazy like
No,
that. He said.
yeah, you can get them shipped here. I just brought some back from Canada for us.
Oh, you did?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
Yeah.
What is it?
They're predominantly Canadian lagers, and I find all Canadian beers have a unique malt taste to them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it'll be fun.
Do they use a different malt?
Well, they use malts from Canada primarily.
So they're, I mean, inherently it's going to be different because it's grown in a different region.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be what you get out of, why does pizza taste different in different regions of Italy, for example, or, New York to Chicago to Detroit.
Yeah, the water's different and all that.
Water's different and regional things are different, and you get a recipe and you're sharing that recipe with your friend, and, it grows out regionally. You get different tastes and flavors, and so it's what they've, it's all that they've been using.
Do Canadians really say "a"?
Yeah,
they do.
Beer A.
Yeah,
beer A.
So if they're asking you if you want a beer, they say beer A.
Probably.
Oh, I don't know. I've only been to Canada, fake Canada, which is the other side of
Windsor.
Oh, no. Oh. I've never even been to Windsor, which is surprising because my family's all from Michigan. You think that I would have been up there before.
So what do you define as fake Canada?
At the falls, Niagara Falls. I feel like the other side of the falls is like...
Oh, Niagara on the Lake's beautiful.
Oh, I love it. It's so cool. But it doesn't feel like I've been to real Canada. That's just like... It felt like America.
Okay.
It didn't culturally... Except for the what is it? The Wax Museum or whatever.
Ripley's? Okay, so that's actually in Niagara. So I'm talking Niagara on the Lake. So it's another 20-minute drive, but it's quaint.
Yeah.
Highly recommended.
I don't really remember much about Niagara Falls, except that it's a big waterfall.
Yeah.
Oh, and we got some pizza that wasn't great. It was, I like pizza a lot. I very rarely have pizza I don't like, but there was pizza I got there that I didn't like at all.
Best pizza you've ever had.
Best pizza I've ever had.
Yeah.
It was in, I can't think of the name of it, in a little bar in Asheville, North Carolina.
Okay.
So we were walking around Asheville, and this was probably, I don't know, 3 years ago. And we were just asking, I have this theory that if you look for the coolest looking person in public and then ask them where to go, you're going to end up going to the cool place.
All right. Usually works out for you?
It's really worked. It's a great strategy. I highly recommend it. So we were looking for cool people, found some cool people, asked them, and consistently every single one of them said, you got to go to this place. It was a very unique pizza. I've never seen anything like it. They had a crust. So it's like normal pizza, but then they put a crust over top of it.
Okay.
So, but not like stromboli where it's rolled.
Yeah.
It was just a pizza that it's like a pie.
All right.
Like a pie crust on top. And it was unbelievable. Unbelievable. What about you? What's your favorite pizza?
Oh, I'm a sucker for Chicago deep dish. So every year on my birthday, it's Chicago deep dish pizza and pineapple upside down cake. Yeah.
Particular Chicago deep dish?
No.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Do you like Giordano's?
That's why I get, because it's I can get it here and it's local. Well, I can get it here.
What's your opinion on Detroit style pizza?
It's food, okay.
No,
I'm fine. I like the corners. I like the crust.
Yeah,
I like the thick. It's on the thicker side.
Do you feel that it's fair that Detroit is kind of carving out a niche in a pizza based on the shape of the pizza, though? I feel like it's the same.
You just plant your flag.
To me, it's the same thing as any other deep dish pizza. It's just that it's a rectangle.
It's square. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or am I missing something?
No.
Because I've had it and I love it.
Yeah.
It's great.
But instead of a circle, it's a square.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, no offense to Detroit. I have no problem with Detroit. I'm a lifelong Lions fan.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, last year was great. Last year was a great season for the Lions, and hopefully this year will be too. But okay, so back to beer. Beer pizza. This is like the guys' podcast. So we were drinking beer one night.
Yep.
At my house.
Yes.
Or was it at your house?
Was it my house? Was it your house?
My house.
Mm-hmm. And you were facing the family room. I'm facing kind of more towards the kitchen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that nook.
And so my recollection was that we're drinking beer. This is a common theme. And in that conversation, we thought, man, I wish there was a craft brewery close that we could go to.
Yeah.
And then we kind of asked the question out loud, why is there not a craft brewery in Lewis Center?
Yes.
Now, Lewis Center, for those of you who are not in the Columbus area, is it's a northern suburb of Columbus. It's a very fast-moving or growing area in one of the wealthiest counties in the state. It just didn't make sense. There's a huge mall there. Like you would think that there would be a craft brewery there, but there wasn't.
Yeah, from where we were, we would have had to have driven probably 20, 25 minutes to get to a craft brewery.
Right. And my recollection was I said, why is there not a craft brewery in Lewis Center? And you said, that's a really good question.
Yeah.
And then we talked for a long time.
Yeah.
I tell people the story and I say like 3 hours. There's no way it was 3 hours. It couldn't have been 3 hours because we would have been up until 2 o'clock in the morning by that point. And I'm too old for that.
Yeah.
But we talked for a while. And then I woke up and went back to work the next morning. Didn't think anything of it. You apparently went and like got to work on this thing.
So the story that I tell is it involves like Myers-Briggs personality types. So 'cause a lot of people are going to be aware of their Myers-Briggs personality types.
Yeah.
And I'm an ISTJ, you are an ENTP, FP. So we're
literally complete opposites.
Complete opposites. So I believe that.
Oh, that's so perfect.
So you are the dreamer.
Uh-huh.
And I'm the accountant.
Yeah. That's right.
So you're here dreaming, and I'm going along with you on the dream. You're
Yeah.
saying, why don't we have this? And I'm like, I agree. Why don't we have this? And we could do this. And like, yeah, I think we could do this. And so I put together just the first draft of a business plan and shot it over to you.
A great business plan. So you called me up and you said, hey, remember that thing we were talking about the other night?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah. And you said, I think we should get together on Saturday because I wrote a business plan.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if I've ever told you this, but I literally was like dumbfounded. I was totally blindsided. I had no idea that you were doing that. And also I was like, well, yeah, heck yeah, we need to get together because I'm a dreamer.
Yeah.
That doesn't scare me at all.
Yeah.
So we got together with my ex-wife, my wife at the time, and your wife, and sat down and dreamed up this thing.
Yeah.
We came up with the name there, right?
We did. Yeah, because we were searching on the Ohio Secretary of State's website to see what had been.
That's right. We were going to call it Olentangy Brewing Company.
But someone
already did that.
Yeah.
So we were like, well, what about Olentangy River? Because it's a geographical area. People would feel comfortable with that. It's kind of kitschy because people from out of town call it Olentangy. They don't know how to say the word. It's just, and it represents our region.
Yeah, and the Olentangy River goes by Ohio State University. And
yeah. We bought the domain that day. I think even registered it on the
Secretary of State's
website that day.
Yeah.
That was in
2017.
2017.
March 2017.
Yeah.
Spring.
Yeah. The only problem was that none of us had ever brewed beer. Right?
Bethany and I had done some home brewing.
Oh, okay.
But usually my line with that is, I'm not going to share it with you because one of two things are going to happen. Either you're going to lie to me or worse yet, you're going to tell me the truth about what you think about my home brew. So, yeah.
I knew nothing about brewing, so you knew more than I did. But we had a good business idea, and so we had to figure out a way that we were going to brew the beer. So how did we do that?
You said, hey, I know a guy. He's a home brewer, does great stuff, and he's a teacher over at one of the Olentangy schools.
Yeah, Jason. So I talked to him.
Yeah.
And I took him out to lunch and everything. I was like trying to win him over. And he's like,
stop educating the kids and come make beer.
Yeah. He's like, oh, you don't want my beer. But, and he said, Was it his uncle?
He said, "You want my cousin Josh's beer? My cousin Josh taught me everything I know about brewing."
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So then what happened with Josh?
Well, so Josh came over to meet with the four of us. And I always tell the story, when I meet people and seeing Josh, I'm like, yeah, I remember still the first time I ever met Josh, because he's a big guy. And I assume we can say this. We should probably ask him. If not, we might have to.
We can always edit it out.
Edit out his name. But he comes in and he's a strong guy, wide shoulders, tattoo on the biceps, and big muscle arms, and comes in, I think, like 3 growlers in each hand.
Yeah.
Just
he looked like
up.
the most stereotypical beer guy ever. It was great.
And we're talking to him, and at the time, I still believe it's the case in the state of Ohio, if you're a convicted felon, you cannot work in an alcohol-related business. And so I'm like, is this guy a convicted felon? Why is he not making beer already if he's that good? And so we ask him.
No, he's the exact opposite.
Yeah. So what's your job? And he said, well, I'm a parole officer in Franklin County. It's like, all right. Woo. And off and running.
So we tried his beer, loved it.
Yeah.
Loved him.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he didn't want to do it full time.
I mean,
he couldn't.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's committed to that career that he's already invested in, and it's doing a great service to our community, and still, and obviously still involved with us, but couldn't be there on hey, we need somebody here, 7 to 7 every day for to brew. And right now we're doing double batches, so sometimes our guys are there 16 hours, 17 hours.
Yeah.
So
then what happened? So Josh
says, I got a guy for you. His name is Enrique Iglesias.
I will be your hero, baby. His name's really Enrique Iglesias.
Indeed.
But he doesn't go by Enrique.
Kike. Everybody loves Kike.
And what is Kike's backstory?
So was one of the first commercial brewers in Puerto Rico. Started a brewery down there named Decay. And his wife got a great career opportunity for her, job transfer up to Central Ohio, and allowing him to follow his dream. And so he was out there, and it was a God thing. Just we're out there looking for a brewer, and he's a brewer looking for a home.
Yeah.
So
in the exact area that he would need to be, which is shocking. Right? I mean, literally right down the road.
Yeah.
And so then what? What did we do with Kike? Because he came and gave us some beer.
He did. I don't remember the first time meeting Kike right now.
I do.
Okay, remind me.
So he definitely brought a couple growlers of his beer. I'm trying to think of which beer it was.
Where were we?
It was your house.
Okay. Maribel with him?
I don't remember if she was there or not.
Sorry, Kike. Love you, buddy.
Definitely at your house. And we immediately were like, "Oh yeah, that's the guy."
Legit.
I mean, he had done it.
Yeah.
Which
on a commercial scale.
Yeah. So
distribution and
for
everything.
Someone who like folks like us who are trying to start a business, looking for a brewer, and then to have someone just kind of fall in your lap that is the perfect solution to that, who actually has like real world experience and knows what it's like to run a brewery and start a small business and all of that. Like, it was a huge win.
Yeah.
And then we were like, okay, well, we got to find a place, right?
Oh yeah. So that was a challenge for several reasons. You mentioned earlier that just Lewis Center, Orange Township area is one of the fastest growing areas in one of the fastest growing areas in the fastest growing county in Ohio.
Yeah.
So, a lot of breweries will typically go into old industrial areas, rundown areas, and that just doesn't exist in our community.
Yeah.
So, it's a matter of, looking at, what might suffice, what we might be able to turn something into. And so as you recall, we made 5 different offers on 4 different buildings. Yeah.
Was it really that much?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember that. The only one I remember was the car wash.
Yeah, at Orange and 23. Yeah, so we made 2 offers on that building.
I still think that would have been so cool.
Yeah.
So for anyone who's local, The car wash that now is Ninja?
Yeah, Ninja Express.
Ninja something. The Ninja car wash at Orange Road. That was a building that we tried to get to open Olentangy River Brewing Company, and it didn't work out. But I think the building that we found was the ideal solution, because that car wash would have been way too small.
The nice thing is there would have been ample parking.
Yeah, that's true. It's a good point. And room to build.
Yeah.
So we probably would have had to do that eventually. But the warehouse for the building that we bought was kind of ideal for brewing.
10,000 square feet.
Yeah. And one of my core memories of that was painting that building. Talk about that, the experience of painting the exterior of that thing.
Well, everybody has to roll up their sleeves, and it's startup culture where, we don't have money to spend on, painting the building. So guess who's painting the building? And yeah, so having friends and other partners that, showed up, rolled up their sleeves. And I mean, that was, I want to say it was three days. We got it all done in 3 days.
Yeah, we did it in one weekend.
Yeah. And I mean, it was us and our kids and everything. I mean, I remember, Dylan being there.
Yep. Yeah, all of our kids were there.
Yeah.
And we had those obnoxiously long extension poles, because it's a tall building, and just standing there like going like this. And it was right around this time.
It was hot.
It was hot. So hot. Like the hottest day of the year. And there's a great photo of you and Jed like laid out on the floor after finishing painting it. It was exhausting, but it saved us like $25,000 or something like that. What was the quote? I don't remember. Something like that. So then what fast forward to the grand opening. What was that like?
Oh, I mean, just always excited to have the community support and behind what we're doing. We opened in November of 18, and it was great community turnout. And I think when we opened, we were enough to have 6 of our beers on draft. I think we now routinely carry 10 or 11 consistently on draft, as well as nitro coffee and the coffee product. I mean, that's something that we haven't even talked about. Was just what really our mission was in starting it, was to be a community gathering place, and realizing that while a lot of breweries aren't open on Mondays, it's a low beer day, and no brewery is going to be opening up at 7:00 in the morning unless you're in an airport. But for us to be open, and we sell beer at 7:00 in the morning. And for anybody listening, I think the record right now is about 7:10. You can come in and claim that record yourself if you want to beat it. But just your relationship with Kenny and the mission that Roosevelt brings, and how that allowed us to how their mission and us helping them serve their mission allowed us also to serve our mission in terms of being a community gathering place.
Yeah. Yeah, Kenny Sipes, such a great guy. He's the founder of Roosevelt, and has been a great partner to Olentangy River Brewing Company. And he and I were at an event together when we were kind of dreaming up the brewery, and I told him that we were looking for a coffee partner and would love to work with him. Yeah. And he said, his quote was funny. He said, "Oh, well, I don't drink beer, but I like you. So sure, we'll do it." And that was it. And then he really did it. He came through and has been a fantastic partner.
Been a great partner.
And if you've never had Roosevelt coffee, you've got to have it. Like it's the best coffee, in my opinion, in town. I absolutely love it.
Yeah. And they're mission focused. So, they just came out with their latest annual report, which if you link in show notes, I think that'd be probably something good to throw in there. Yeah. Just in terms of what they're doing. And it's primarily a 3-part mission, providing food locally for people that are food insecure, providing clean water around the world, and fighting human trafficking. They also, do a lot of donations and giving back into the community in terms of other organizations. But great community, great partner for us, and an even better partner for Greater Columbus.
How is ORBC doing? How's the business? It's been 5 years now.
Yeah, been 5 years. It'll be 6 here in just a couple of months. Continuing to grow, expand primarily through distribution. The beer industry overall has changed post-COVID. You really I mean, had no sit down sales for a while. Did a lot of to go sales during lockdown. You also had really a spike in alcohol consumption across the United States during that time. We've shifted since then. We have seltzers now. We also have a liquor license. We don't market ourselves as a bar, so we're not a place to come in and get shots. But there are usually two craft cocktails every month or season that Darren and our staff will pick out and determine what those are as an offering. It's good. We're continuing to innovate and look for other things. We have a couple of projects that we're working on right now that not ready to disclose yet, but I think that we'll be ready to launch hopefully this winter.
Cool.
From a distribution side, that it would be press worthy, that people would be excited by.
Sweet.
Yeah,
that's good. I like that. It's a good little teaser you got there.
Yeah.
Keep people hanging. So the beer business, especially in Columbus, has grown tremendously. A lot of people think that it's kind of a saturated market. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I mean, Columbus is continuing to grow as a market and as a community. If you look at it from a demographic standpoint, there's still room for more craft breweries in Central Ohio. They've really become more of a local community gathering place, and for many of our similar businesses. And it's people can be proud of their local craft brewery, and it's not like we are. Yeah, we're in competition with each other, but it's friendly, and we all ultimately have the same foe in big beer. So we're all rowing in the same direction, trying to innovate together and really being supportive. I can think of multiple instances where craft breweries have really reached out and helped each other. It's an incredible community of people. I mean, even people that would be in more of that big beer category. I mean, I still classify Boston Brewing Company as a craft beer just because of the work that Jim has done. There was a time a few years ago where one of the larger manufacturers went up and actually was buying out hop farms, and people that had hop contracts all of a sudden didn't have the hop contracts, and Boston Beer Company came in and said, hey, if you had a contract previously, we'll sell to you at our rate, and just be a friend to you.
Wow.
So it's a good community. It's a helpful community. We've had instances where a piece breaks on a CIP machine, on a clean in place machine. There's an issue going on, and it's always good to know that there's somebody that you can call to help. And we've done the same. So
it's awesome.
Yeah.
Why do you think the community is so kind and generous like that? Because not every business is that way.
No, and I would say most aren't. You
Right.
don't see other insurance companies saying, "Oh yeah,
Right.
State Farm, Allstate, yeah, come on, let's
Right.
all grab beer together."
Right.
I think it's a mindset, and I think it's also who is attracted by just who it attracts, just as an individual. Now, what do you think? I mean, you're there too.
I think
Yeah.
the nature of it. Well, it's beer.
Yeah.
So if you think about what beer is and what it means to people, typically it's a time to come together and celebrate and have community, and it only makes sense that would be an extension of creating that product. Yeah, my experience has been exactly the same. That people are very open and generous.
My favorite thing that we do, and I don't think we do enough of it, are collab beers. So where two breweries will come together frequently. We'll go to their place and brew a beer, and then we'll take that same recipe and then brew it at our place. And so, we're learning from each other, both their processes and procedures. Hey, what are best practices that you have? What aren't we doing that we've never even thought of? Oh, hey, we never thought about, doing a process like that. So it's a good way to learn from each other. I've always been growing up. I always learned better hands-on. Just sitting in a classroom, listening to a lecture has never been the way that I process and retain information the best. But if I can actually put it into action, it's more likely for me to remember it and for me to be able to implement it again later. It's what they say about it. The best way to learn something is to teach it. And I think that's what collab beers allow you to do, is to actually teach somebody else your process and procedures. And you have to have them buttoned up in order to be able to talk to somebody else about it.
Yeah.
So,
well, you've got a unique collaboration with Bethany, with your wife.
Sure.
Yeah, I want to kind of go back to the backstory of how you guys met each other. So talk about that. How did you meet your wife?
Oh, she was in law school and working at the front desk of a post-production house. It was September 13th, 2001.
You remember the day?
Well, September 13th, 2001.
Yeah, 2 days after 9/11.
2 days after 9/11.
Oh, man.
So I was supposed to edit on 9/11, and because 9/11 happened, I didn't go in and edit. And so that got kicked 2 days. And so going in 2 days later, hey, who's the cute girl at the front desk? Just struck up a conversation with her. And she was, at the time I was actually dating someone else.
Oh, you were? Drama.
And I said, she had a law book out there. I said, oh, what are you studying? She said, oh, con law. I said, oh, where do you go to law school? And she said, Capital. I said, are you in the day program, the night program? She said, I'm in the day program. And I said, oh, my girlfriend's in the night program. And she goes from making eye contact with me back down to studying.
Yeah.
Priorities. She's like, I'm not here for you. This is what's number one. And so fast forward though a few months, and I was a single man and just kept flirting with her and told her we ought to talk sometime during non-business hours. And she asked if that was my smooth way of asking for her phone number. And I said yes. And been together ever since.
So you guys been together a long time.
Yeah. 21 years of marriage next week.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Next week is your 21st anniversary. Mm-hmm. What are you doing to celebrate? This won't come out before it.
Yeah. No, nothing is planned. So we did a nice trip with my kids' other parents. So Michael and Megan Ballinger. So the couple that get essentially godparents to our kids.
Yeah.
So they get our kids if my wife and I die, and we get their kids if they die. We vacation together. So they were also celebrating their 20th anniversary. So we did a big trip back in December together.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
Argentina.
Ah.
So down to Patagonia, to Iguazu Falls. Talking about Niagara Falls, Iguazu Falls is, I want to say, 5 times larger than Niagara Falls.
Wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, I had no idea.
Oh, yeah. And it's in both Brazil as well as Argentina.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Iguazu Falls.
I got to check that out. Yeah. That sounds really cool.
Highly recommended.
And you have 3 girls.
3 daughters.
So do you want to talk about that?
Happy to. Talk about anything you want to talk about, my friend.
So talk about what life has been like being a girl dad.
Love being a girl dad.
Yeah.
So consistency. And, we have a few rules in our house. Number one, which started when they were very young. Rule number 1 in our house is don't wake your sister. So, and it still applies now, even as they're older, because if they're tired, unless it's at a time that we need to get going somewhere, or they're sleeping in way too long, still always a good rule of thumb is if somebody's sleeping, let them sleep. Now, obviously, that was much more important when they were young.
Yeah. Maybe not. Maybe not.
Don't wake your sister.
Teenagers don't like getting woken up.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
But rule number 2 is always support your sister. So, friends come and go. Sisters are forever. Want them to invest in their relationships at school and their communities for their sports and church and the like. But, sisters are always going to be there. And so we just want to instill in them And the fact that, if your sister asks for something, sisters come first. So
what was like for you, life like for you growing up? You have some siblings.
I have a sister that's a year and 28 days older than me.
Okay.
So almost Irish twins, not quite.
Well, what's the technical
Irish twins
cutoff?
Would be within 1 year of each other.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I don't think it's derogatory. I sure hope it's not. I don't
No, it's fine. I'm part Irish. It doesn't offend me at all.
Me too.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you can say it if you're part Irish. And you grew up where?
Cincinnati.
What part?
West side of Cincinnati, Green Township. So I joke that I'm a West Side escapee because not many people leave the West Side. West Side's the best side, so why would you leave?
Yeah. What brought you to Columbus?
After college graduation, moved to Washington, D.C., and then came back to Columbus to work at the State House. So wanted to be involved in politics, so went to work for a member of the legislature who was a state rep as well as a county party chair. I think he saw me as an easy target and a sucker because he's like, "What? You're gonna come work for me here and then volunteer for me to do work at the county party?" Okay, so
and that was in Franklin County.
He was not party chair of Franklin County, no.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I lived in Franklin County.
So why politics? Is that something that you were interested in growing up, or what? Like, what got you in that?
I was 6 years old. 6 or 7, growing up in Cincinnati, Ohio. My birthday's in April. For my birthday, my grandmother gives to me from Radio Shack a stuffed animal, a raccoon, that has 2 buttons on it, two that both turn. The first one just turns it on and is the volume, and then turn it all the way to the left and it clicks off.
Yeah.
The next button is just a tuner.
So it's a radio?
It's a radio. And now what you might realize with that tuner is I just said it's a tuner. There's not an AM FM switch.
Oh.
It only got AM radio. So growing up though, April is the start of what season? What sports season? Baseball.
Yeah.
So started baseball season.
I think of March being the start of baseball.
Well, March, April. Yeah.
When is? I mean, it's in Cincinnati.
Opening day. Yeah.
Opening day is it the first week of April?
Around there.
I don't know why I think of it as March.
So,
but you got to grow up in the opening day town.
Atmosphere. Oh yeah, I mean that's
a big deal down there.
It is a big deal. I mean, when that was going on, you'd watch it at school if you weren't actually at the parade yourself.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So even in elementary school, I mean, teachers would roll in the TVs and
that's awesome.
Turn it on and watch the parade and opening day. Yeah, it is. Opening day in Cincinnati, Ohio is unlike any opening day anywhere else.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So, so I get...
So the raccoon radio.
I become accustomed at night to falling asleep listening to Marty and Joe on 700 WLW, Cincinnati Reds
Marty
radio.
and Joe. Oh, okay.
Yeah, Marty Brenneman, Joe Nuxhall, play-by-play guys.
I know those names.
And when they weren't on, there was a guy that would talk on 700 WLW by the name of Bill Cunningham. I don't know if you know that name, Willie Cunningham. So at one point...
It's a political talk guy? Or?
Political talk guy.
Okay.
So here I am, 7 years
old. So you're
old.
7 years old listening to political talk radio.
Listening to political talk radio.
And what did you think of that?
Well, I mean, he was talking about how, the Reagan Revolution, what was going on with Ronald Reagan, and this would have been probably 1983, 84. So I became a admirer of Ronald Reagan at a very young age. So
I feel like we all were. Yeah. You and I are almost the same age, and I remember really looking up to Ronald Reagan as a president.
There was a decorum and a respect that, frankly, I long for, and I hope and pray comes back to America. I mean, you had Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill. So Tip O'Neill, the Democrat Speaker of the House, Ronald Reagan, the Republican president, who would still get together for a beer and talk about things and have discussions. And I do think that there's room for that in America.
Amen.
And I think that what we have to realize is primarily those on the left side of the aisle, the right side of the aisle, those who disagree with us that we might think of as, oh, they are right-wing extremists or left-wing liberals. They're anti-American. They're Nazis. They're, fill in the name calling that you will. I think by and large, the approach I take is they don't hate America. They have a different way of improving America, perhaps than I do. But I go with the acceptance that their heart's good. And if
you believe the best of people.
Yeah, I mean, if you can see God in somebody and see Jesus in somebody, and realize that, hey, Jesus loves this person, it's a little hard for me to be like, oh, they're a terrible person. Yeah. I can disagree and I can debate their positions on things, and I can say why that's terrible. Although terrible is not an argument. You should articulate why something's an argument other than just calling it names. Why their policies are poor policies, or why doing something a different way is better. But I mean, name calling doesn't solve anything.
Yeah, but it feels like in the current political climate, there's just perpetual name calling, at least from my perspective.
Sure, because
why?
Tribalism. You have people. You see it. I mean, you see it in sports. You see it in high schools. I mean, it's at the root of who we are, wanting acceptance as people. And so you want acceptance. You find your tribe. You have tribalism speak, and so you're hearing affirmation of that same belief inside that same circle.
Do you think social media has contributed to that?
Absolutely. I do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at least it seems to me that because of the fact that what you receive in your feed, whatever social media channel you're on, is crafted for you. Mm-hmm. And if you're looking for a certain thing, it basically is a self-fulfilling feedback loop. It will feed you what you want, no matter what it is. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter the subject. Like, I get a lot of golf videos. I get a lot of guitar videos because that's what I like.
Yeah.
And so if you're really into vilifying the other side, and you interact with that, it seems like you just kind of, or you're going to continue to see that. And then also the people who are creating the content, then they have an audience in that.
It's what gets the rating. It's what gets the clicks.
Right.
There's a saying, an adage that, you are the 5 people you spend the most time with. And if those same 5 people look like you, act like you, dress like you, have the same occupation as you, the ability that you have to learn something new dwindles.
Very interesting. Yeah. So what do you think we can do as a society to get back to the way that things were back in the Reagan days?
I mean, I'm kind of torn between. I can go 2 different ways here. One is, a recognition of, a lot of the things that even I do. If I'm being successful, separating people from each other is a great tactic to motivate and persuade. But at the end of the day, while that can result in a short-term win, it doesn't result in a long-term benefit. What can we do to get back to it? Have humility. I think humility goes a long way, but I guess being willing to have friends that don't look like you, act like you, but that's hard when we grow up in communities and neighborhoods, and growing up, we played outside as a kid,
right?
If I wanted to see my buddy, I might call him, but it's more likely I'm just going to run over to his house and knock on the door,
right?
And kids now, and there's a lot of great things that I've read recently, just in terms of being a parent and raising 3 daughters. Hey, how can I best instill in them work ethics and the ability to be respectful and grow and learn, while at the same time maintaining, dignity and respect and values that I want them to have. Um, there's a lot of ways that we can go about doing that and encouraging that.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
I really do believe that I agree with you that um, that there is no. I mean, there are inherently evil people, and there are people that
Sure.
want to inflict pain on others or whatever. That is such a small percentage of the population. The day-to-day people that we interact with, they're even if they come off as being evil, they don't want to be. I don't think anybody like wakes up and chooses malice. Like, yeah,
No. Yeah.
I just don't think that's a thing. I think people maybe get mixed up, but I really do believe in the inherent goodness of humanity. That we are that we are image bearers of God, and that because someone has an opposite political view of me doesn't mean that they are somehow evil or the enemy even.
Yeah.
And I would love to. I want to be a part of helping to bring people back together, to having a more civil discourse when it comes to differing politics.
We can disagree without being disagreeable.
Oh, I love that. That's good. Did you make that up?
I've heard it along the way.
That's a good quote.
Don't know who to attribute it to.
I love that. That's really good. I think that's a really good place for us to end. Scott, I love you. I
love you too,
appreciate
Ryan.
your friendship so much. It means a lot to me that you came on the podcast. Thank you for coming out here on a Friday night after you just flew in from somewhere. I don't remember where you were. But your friendship means a lot to me.
Likewise.
I appreciate you. Love you like a brother. And this has been a lot of fun.
Likewise.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you.